Hello everyone and welcome. Thank you for joining me in this video. Today I'm going to show you the end results of all the work that Zibo and I did and the collaboration with Simbrief. So I'm going to talk to you about this new Uplink feature and I hope you're going to find it useful and will enjoy it with me. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of things, I just want to also clarify something. The company root import stays as is. Nothing changes regarding that. Okay, we're going to show you more about that at the end, and there's a very specific reason for it. I don't want you to get confused with the uplink at this point in time. We want to concentrate on the uplink first, and then we'll add the rest later. The main difference between the uplink and using the company root import is just very important to quickly understand. The company root import only imports the root. Now, depending on whether you take it from Simbrief or the Navigraph desktop charts, it will not include runway, sit, stars, transitions. If you take it from Navigraph desktop charts, it will contain all those things if you programmed that in before you did the export of the FMS file. Okay. On the uplink side, the major difference is it contains the route information as well as the wind information as well as the performance information for the Perf INIT page in the FMC. That makes a bit of a difference. So technically, if you think about it, you might as well skip using the FMS plan if you are used to taking the FMS file from Simbrief, because there's no additional benefit at all, which is why I recommend you then use the uplink that contains all the information that is additional. If you are like me and you use Navigraph desktop charts, then you can use a combination of these files. You can then do the uplink first, and then secondary you can do the FMS update, which will then contain sit, stars, runways, and your transitions. Okay, so it's important that we just understand the difference in the beginning. For this video, we're going to concentrate initially on skipping the company root import, skipping the FMS file that's associated with that, and we are going to concentrate just on the uplink side of things. To demonstrate the relevance as well as the functionality, I've just brought my Simbrief downloader up onto the screen here to show you this, physically and practically. I've literally only got the Zibo mod file. This is that magic little new file, the b738x.xml file that is going to be downloaded. I am literally physically not even downloading the FMS file anymore. Like I said, there's no real benefit. Everything we need is now contained in this file. And this is the file we're going to use for the uplink. Now, in order for us to get the file, we obviously need to go to the website. We need to go to Simbrief, and we need to fill in all the blanks, create a flight scenario for us. Once we filled in all the blanks, we're going to click generate. This will generate the dispatch for us. That will include our PDF. It will include the XML file that we need. And that's how easy it is. You see, just click on generate. It's done. We go to the Simbrief downloader now and we do the export. We'll see I've done it a few times. We don't mind. We're just going to replace it. It tells us it's now exported all the files, which means that if we go to our folder, we can expect the correctly named file in the correct place. Please do not rename this anymore. Please do not add an additional XML. We've seen it many times in the support side of Zibo now in the last couple of days, where people cannot see the extension of the file and then they add the extension. So you guys need to be careful with that. The Simbrief downloader, or even if you bring that file down from the website in the background there, it will be in the correct naming format already. all you need to do is just make sure that it goes to your X-Plan 12 output FMS plans folder, because that's where the Zibo mod is going to read it from. For those of you that cannot see the .xml, as you can see on my screen, please make sure to go to View, Show, and make sure that Show Name Extensions is ticked. Right, I'm using Windows 11. Windows 10 works slightly different, but you can Google how to do that. It's the same principle. So please make sure that you can see the extensions so that you can be sure that there is no funny business with that file. The moment that name is incorrect, you will not be able to import it. Also, please remember, if your Zibo mod is old, you need to update to the latest version. As of version 4, RC, the release candidate 5.7, everything will work the way I explained. If you have an older model, you have to upgrade. It will not work for you. It's very important for you to understand that. So here we are in the Zibo mod. That is obviously the next logical step, and we now need to start setting up and programming the aircraft. We've done the export, it's done and dusted. It's waiting for us to get there to use it. Okay. So, before we get going, I just want to also mention to you, some of you guys have now asked for the facility to be able to use the Perf data and then to program the EFB. So, in other words, have a two-way street, because currently it only works from the EFB onto the FMC. Now, with the uplink, you'll see it actually gives you information, but please, at this time, do not make a mistake. It will not load your fuel and your zero fuel weights or nothing. It's just for informational purposes, okay? Also, Zibo has made absolutely no hint that he is going to make this a two-way street where you can decide whether you want to program the EFB or the FMC and they cross-populate, okay? There is no mention of that at this point in time. I know a lot of you have hinted at it. Some of you have asked specifically that we do that. There is at this time no information available to it. Zibo has not said that he's going to do it. So please remember right now and until further notice, obviously, you need to program the EFB with the actual payload and the fuel. All right, it's very important that you guys understand that. And to recap for the guys that might have forgotten or haven't used it before, you know, any new pilots and stuff, I just want to quickly show you. I'll open my downloaded OFP over there. And then we're going to just scroll down here to the weight section. There you go. All right, and then we're going to quickly go into our payload. I've already done it because this is like take 13 already of this piece of the video. I keep on falling over my own tongue, believe it or not. So anyway, I've done it already. You can see that the fuel is in place and the payload is in place. I did notice that we lost 1 kilogram in the payload, so it must be rounding again. And speaking of rounding, if your zero fuel weight does not match exactly in the FMC, it's just a rounding thing. Okay, so don't get too excited about it. It's not the end of the world. We obviously 99% of the time will match it exactly the same if you use the correct Zibo template on the Simbrief website. Okay, and the loading gets done there. So that's just a little bit of information on the side there. So anyway, we've fully loaded here, and our next step is going to be to get the ground power on. Okay, I've already connected my GPU. That's very important for us, and then we can start setting up the aircraft. Right, first things first, we're going to go for the battery. We're going to go for ground power and then arm the emergency exit lights. All right, I'm going to put the hydraulics on to make sure that they get charged up nicely, and then let's get some light on the subject here. Then we're going to align the IRSs, and we're going to wait for the whites. There's the first one, second one. Now we can put your damper on. All right, because it is raining and such, let's just go one step further and just make sure that we put the window on. Otherwise, it might actually fog up a little bit here. Not that cold, but we don't want funny business. Alright, so for this tutorial, this video, we don't really need much more than this. If you look at the overhead, it says we've got 7 minutes for alignment to happen, but that means we can already start programming our FMC. And we're just going to go through the basic motion now that we do every day anyway. So, GPS left. And that's our position. Then we go on to the route page, and this is where we start to earn our money now, because we're all here specifically for this flight plan request, aren't we? So in this version of the Zibo mod and going forward, we've already spoken about the basics and my reasoning. We are now going to use the flight plan request function. So I'm going to click the button and then wait for the load to appear this side. There you go, route uplink is ready, and we now need to click on the load button. Alright, you see it goes there through a couple of motions. Alright, and initially and first of all, you're going to see it contains the origin and the destination. The runway is inserted. My flight number is inserted, so the ATC knows who they're talking to when they look on the radar scope. And we can now activate and execute this. Alright. If you guys are familiar with my teaching style and the way I teach the new pilots, you will understand also I have got this big thing about never move off the page when it says activate, and never move off a page when that light is on and you have to execute it. All right, we are flight simmers, we're not real pilots. They have a different SOP. Don't confuse the two. Okay, I'm very well aware of both. Okay, but I also know flight simmers, and I can guarantee you, I'll give it to you in writing, there will be a time where you're going to forget to press that execute button and the system is not going to work, and then you're going to cry because the Zibo mod doesn't work, and it's got nothing to do with Zibo. You just forgot to press the button, or to go back and press the button, to be more precise. So guys, always do that. We don't need to look pretty when we do this. There's nobody that's standing there with a clipboard marking us whether we're following real-world procedures or not. It's for your own good. Always press that button as soon as you see it's up. Okay, don't move off the page when that thing is lit. Once we actually have everything in this position, it's easy enough to go and check, and then I'll talk you through what we get with this. I hinted a little bit of it earlier, but let me show you practically. We've now done this import, the uplink of this B738X file, obviously, and remember I said earlier you will get the departure runway and the SID, you'll get the star, but you won't get the approach. So let's check. So if we go there, we can see there is our runway and there is our departure, our SID. And if we go to the arrival side, you'll see nothing is selected. You do not get an approach with this import, but we do get the star. Alright, so literally that is also like in the real aircraft that Zibo is basing the code on. You do not get approach. So it's up to you literally to now see which runway it is. Now if we just go back to our planning, we should have it in here. Did I miss it? Yeah, there we go. So it says we need to use runway 23. So ILS 23 it is. Alright, now we cannot see the transition from where we are now because it just simply isn't included in the string. It doesn't, show the Simbrief side, but I happen to know that it is this one, Golf Echo Golf Mike Uniform. The reason I know this is because I obviously did my own planning in the Navigraph desktop charts, and I can obviously go back and check that. So once it's all in place, I can just click the execute button. The next step is also standard procedure now. I'm just going to put this PDF away, and we're going to look at stepping through our plan. So I'm going to go to the plan mode, and we're going to go to the legs mode, legs page, and then we can just quickly step through, make sure we did not mess it up. It all moves in one direction and one direction only. There's no discontinuities or any other funny business. And there we go. Perfect. Okay, just a quick mention, I'm obviously using AMD graphics, and apparently according to Zibo, the fact that it doesn't draw the lines for the missed approach, he reckons it's got something to do with zinc, so I'm kind of stuck there. I know on the EFB I can go and put the line to be magenta, then it draws it, it's no problem, but then I get confused. You know, I like to have the different colors, and I can live with this. I never use a go around anyway, unless it is required from Sasso coming onto my stream and, you know, or doing something specific to use them. So it doesn't really bother me, but I just thought I'd mention that to you. All right, so this means that our plan seems to work, and we can go to our root page and then go and do the Perf INIT. So on this page, I've said this before, and I just want to remind you, this is the page I was referring to, the Perf INIT page. All right. If you do the uplink request, it will populate some of the information except for the reserves. Okay. Now, trust me, some operators, some firmware versions in the FMC, some SOPs, some whatever you want to call it, somewhere on earth, there is somebody that actually gets the reserves when they import the information, okay? Not everybody gets that. The aircraft that Zibo is modeling in the real world that corresponds to what the code says here does not give the reserves. Okay, so there's no point in you splitting hairs about a common sense item. I've now told you, not everybody gets it. Some get, some don't. In the Zibo mod that is modeled according to a real world aircraft, okay, it represents it perfectly. So if we do our uplink request and we do the loading, you'll see the reserves will not get loaded. Right, so we're going to click the load button as always, and then we just wait for it. 100%. There we go. So exactly as I said, now the reserves is blank. How do we know what the reserves are? It's very easy. We go back and we actually pick it up there. So we're going to use 2.3 because we're rounding up. We never round down. When it's that high and closer to the upside, go up. Right, so it's 2.3, and then we can execute. Remember that light? We execute immediately. All right. Just a quick mention, the small lettering and numbers designate that this was an imported value. The moment you click on the zero fuel weight, for instance, let's just quickly look again. We are expecting 61.4. So that is what we uploaded. Let's click it. And there you go. Now you see it became big lettering, big numbers, okay? It means that we put that in, okay? Now, the reason I double-clicked it is I wanted to see that what we planned is what we got, okay? So this is a cheap trick from me, who just want to tell you this is how you can test if your values is appropriate. Obviously, if you're going to click that button, the paper says it needs to be 61.4 and it shows you 54 or whatever, 58 or 65 for that matter. I don't know, whatever it could be, okay? 65 might be a bit much, but the fact is, if it's a different number, if it's significantly different, it means that you messed up somewhere, okay? And typically, it's because you forgot to load the payload and the fuel through the EFB. That has to happen from the EFB side, okay? Until further notice. Right, so guys, please don't forget that. Okay, now once we are done here, we can obviously go to our N1 limits. I'm not going to change anything. I'm not going to fly anyway. It's acceptable as that. We can get our V speeds. All right, now you're going to say, Nico, it's raining outside. We saw it was raining. Let's just check. Yeah, it's still raining. Right, so let's just go back. Let me just show you. If you go to the next page, it's going to reset the V speed, so we just have to enter it again. It says wet. Alright, so it says there takeoff speed deleted. Thank you very much. And now we just need to go and enter them again. Alright, so now we can clear the message. Zibo so eloquently told me a day or two ago, I need to read what it says. And I obviously did, but then I forgot. I completely forgot. So, you know, it's a human thing. So guys, please pay attention. It's very important, and you'll see your V2 is totally different now than what it was. I can't even remember what it was, but make sure to set, dry, wet, or the anti-skid when you have to. Okay, so that takes care of all the basic things for the takeoff. Obviously, I'm not going to fly, so I'm just going to go into the next mode. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the upper winds. So if we go to the legs page and we want to load the upper winds, what we need to do is quickly get out of plan mode so we get the right button functions. Right, so we want the route data, and all I did was just turn this little knob to get back to our normal view, the map view. Okay, sorry, I did it a bit fast. Right, so in the legs page, in normal view, you get the route data. All right, you cannot populate the winds in here until your Perf INIT is set. Okay, or at least your performance information. I would go so far as to say, just finish what I did. Just make sure that you get the right thing, because the last thing you want is to import the incorrect thing. So in this position, I'm happy. I can just go and request the winds. And we click load as usual. So now it's loading, and we can execute it. And we can quickly press the next page, and there you see. There you can see all the winds. It's not much of a variance, but fortunately it's done automatically and you don't have to do it, line by line. So there you go. So that's the cruise winds. That's how we get it. To refresh your memory, we click on legs, we click route data, and just do the import. So now we know the cruise winds are in place. The last bit of information that you can then import from that XML file is in your forecast page. So I'm clicking the VNav button, and I'm going to forecast, and then I'm going to request this information. Right, and then we're going to click the load button. And this is also the only page where the load button goes and sits on the right hand side, so just pay attention there. Most of them sit on this side. Right, and then we execute. Remember, never move off the page until you execute. And there you go. So that is then the descent forecast winds. I don't think that the FMC has been this correctly set up and this populated with information for a lot of you guys, so it's brand new for many of you. And guys, I hope you're going to enjoy it. But that's it. That is the value of using that single B738X XML file. That one. All right. This is an updated file that obviously came in from Antonio's plugin in the background running there. We don't need it at this point in time. Literally, we just need that one. That was the focus of this video up until now. and then the next couple of sections I'm going to talk with you then about the FMS file, and then I'll show you Antonio's little program as well, and we'll go through the motions with that. I do not have Hendrik's program yet. I've not sat down with him, so I can't show you yet, and I do apologize. I will try and work it in somewhere over the weekend where we can maybe just do a quick stream or something, him and me, with you guys, show you how his one works, but that's where we are right now. Okay, so it's important for me to get this video out now as soon as possible while everybody's looking to see how this system actually works, and it is obviously the way forward. So let me quickly think. Right, okay, I'm going to quickly switch over, reset the FMC. In fact, let's do it now. So the way to reset the FMC is you click menu and then you just click and hold it until it says it resets the FMC. Okay, so to get to the FMS company root upload, I obviously need to set up somewhat again. We did the reset obviously, so now just telling the aircraft where we are again, and then we can worry about our route. Okay, so in the previous section we spent all our time looking at the uplink, which is that button over there. If you came in late or skipped up to this stage, please go back, watch the first section so you can understand what that is all about and how to use it. If you have stuck around now or came specifically to look at how the company route works, this is how it works. Okay, we have two ways of getting the company route. We can either directly download it from Simbrief. In other words, we need to enable the Explain 11 and 12 format, which is then FMS, and we also have to specify the place where we want to put them. Right, so let's quickly hide the ones we don't use, so it just looks a bit more neat. Right, so now we have the B738, which we've already discussed. I'm not going to remove that one, but now we also have the ability to get the FMS from this option. All right, so it's the same flight plan, same everything. I'm just going to click the export. I'm going to rename and close, and then we can quickly go have a look at the folder and see what it did. All right, so I'm going to close the downloader. We don't need it anymore. So effectively it brought in to our Explain 12 output FMS plans the B738X.xml, which is for the uplink we've already discussed, and this is now the FMS file. Okay, so the native Simbrief name for the FMS file will include A01. Both Antonio and Hendrik's programs have the ability to rename that to actually drop the 01. Okay, so there's a little added benefit of using their programs. So effectively, in your quest to program the Boeing, you need to decide, are you going to use the file from the XML file, the B738X, that contains much more data, or are you going to skip it and all you are interested in is getting your company route going? And this is where company route comes into. I mean, sounds funny. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm actually serious. It's what it's for, right? This is exactly what it's for. So to upload the company route only in this regard, remember we've just used the downloader from Simbrief. There's no other program involved at this point in time. We need to type the exact name of this FMS file. Okay, we can have multiple FMS files with different names, obviously. And you can save your flight plans that way. This is the only way you can save flight plans for a later time, because obviously if you use that one in the uplink, it's going to be overwritten every single time you do the export. Okay, so there's no history there, but you can build your own history with a whole bunch of FMS files if you wanted to. So LFLBEGMC, and because it is the native Simbrief file, we're going to see or set 01 as well. As you can see, that file coming from Simbrief, and the Simbrief downloader does not include any runways, sits, stars, transitions, approaches, nothing. It is literally up to you now to fill in the runways and the flight number and all these other things that you have to do. Okay, so in this instance, we are going to take from our plan, there's our plan. You can see we're going to take runway 18 as our departure. So we're going to put 18, and then we have to put our flight call sign, flight number or call sign, whatever you want to call it, 001. And then again, the old principle, activate and execute. All right. So if we go to the departure arrival page, you'll see there, runway 18 is selected because we told it in the previous page, but there's no SID. Nothing was selected. Okay, which means that we need to refer back to our planning, and we look for the DAN 8BR, it seems. Or DAN B8R, actually. DAN B8R. So there's a DAN B8R, which means we're going to select it. And in this instance, we now need to execute it. All right, because the light lit up, there was a change. Now we tell the FMC, there you go, there's your change, take it to art. Right, then we go to the approach side of thing. Again, there is nothing given to you. It is vanilla as can be. So in our situation here, we're going to choose runway 23, the SOVA 1S arrival, as well as ILS 23. Right, so let's start from this side. We're looking for SOVAs. SOVA 1 Sierra, which is that one. We then, let me just bring it across again, and we're looking for ILS on 23. All right, so ILS on 23 is that one, but now we need a transition, and you can see it is a Golf Echo Golf Mike uniform. That's the transition for the ILS, which means it's that one, and we have to now execute it. Right, so if we go to our plan view and we go to our legs page, we should be able to step through as usual because we filled in the blanks ourselves. And for anybody that is a control freak, that's obviously the way to go. You want to be in control yourself. So that is the one version of the FMS file. The other way of doing it would be to simply go reset this thing again. Menu, press and hold until it resets. All right. So what I do, me typically, this is a Nico thing, I prefer to export here from Navigraph desktop chart. I mean, I built this flight plan manually, so I know it's right, it's mine, I want it. So what I do is I would export this little file. You see, now it does not contain that 01 because this is how Navigraph does it. And we're going to save it. It's the ICAO from to the ICAO2.fms, and all we need to do is go import it. And the reason I choose this specific way of importing the company route is this exported file that we just created contains runway, set, stars, transitions, and approaches. Everything regarding the route except your, it doesn't have the winds and it doesn't have the performance data. So it's just absolutely raw plan only. Right, so when we go now, we can say LFLB EGMC, no 01 because it is not the same as what you get from Simbrief. And all we do is we import the company route. Now you see immediately runway is there. We still don't have the flight number, so we can put that in. We activate and execute. All right, when we go and look at our departure and arrival now, you'll see it's already selected. Perfect. So that is the difference between getting the FMS plan from Simbrief and getting the FMS plan from Navigraph. There you see. So you see it's even selected your transition there for you. Right, we can step through it, but we're going to see it's exactly the same as before, but with a little bit less hassle. There you go. Perfect. All right. So, if you're not interested in the wind and the performance data upload, then obviously I would recommend using the company route. All right. If at any point in time you do decide that you want to request the plan here on the route page, okay, please be careful. Do that first, because if we do it now, I'll show you, it's going to overwrite what we did with the company route. So we click load. There you go, and we can click execute. Clear the messages. Right, so now you will see runway 18 is selected. The flight number is already in, as you saw in one of the previous sections in the video. No company route is filled in. If we go to the departure, you'll see it's got the runway and the SID. If we go to the arrival, it will have the actual star, but it will not have the approach. You need to choose the approach and the transition yourself and then execute it. Okay. So that's the difference if you do the uplink. Now, please note, all the other pages are running independently from this page. So the only effect, if you put a company route in now, is just to fix the SID star runway transition and approach. Okay, it's the only benefit that you will have. If you go to any of the other pages and you go look for the winds, it will have zero effect on the route. You can do this independently. It doesn't matter. You can go to any of the other pages, even in your legs. And if you just go set that thing again back to the map view, and you go to route data, you can request the winds. You can, in fact, you can request this information as well. It's got nothing to do with the FMS import in company route. The only thing you need to remember is when you want to use company route and you feel like using that one, this one needs to happen first. Okay, you need to request your uplink first, then do the company route, so the company route will remain intact and in place. I hope you guys understand and that you will enjoy playing a little bit around and learning for yourself. You know, it's always good to just go hands-on, go try it out. But that's the summary. So to end this video, I obviously have to mention Antonio's little Python script. It's compatible with Mac, Linux, Windows. You obviously need Python and its little associated plugin to make it work. Antonio will help you with it. Please don't ask me for support. Antonio is responsible for his own creation. And then Antonio interfaces with the Simbrief, your Simbrief account. You give it your Simbrief ID so that the transaction will come to your PC, obviously. All right, so what it does is it will go and it will look for a newer OFP that was dispatched. It will grab the B738X XML, bring it down, extract the information, create an FMS file for you if you do not have the Navigraph desktop charts FMS file already in place. If it finds that file there already, it will skip it and it will simply put the B738 for you in place, exactly as you see it. And it happens automatically. There are a bit of logic that you need to comprehend, that you need to understand and then, you know, live by to get this thing to work automatically. And if you miss the sequence, obviously there's a reload button. You can just click reload. It's also handy if you want to change your OFP at Simbrief while you are already in Explain. You just click the reload button afterwards, after you've dispatched it, obviously, and it will bring it in for you. Okay. And that's it in a nutshell, what it does. So you don't have to use this Simbrief downloader to go and fetch the files, or to go to the website and download it manually and then move it into position. This thing literally does everything for you, and all you then do is you choose whether you want to use the company route or you want to use the uplink. As easy as that. Hendrik's little program does not interface with Simbrief directly. He still requires you to bring the file down to your machine, and then there's manipulation that happens. Once I've spoken to him and I've got a better grasp of it and where to go to, we'll just put it on one of my streams. You know, you guys can just follow along there. So I'm not going to include it in this video at this point in time. Because I haven't spoken to him yet, in all honesty, regarding it, so he can just give me all the ins and outs about it and the future plans about it. So we'll handle that separately. But that's it. One other thing that this Antonio script does now, which is new, is it can actually give you your digital ATIS, you know, which it gets from the real world. So this is a nice to have extra. So I know Madrid has got, so let's quickly have a look what it says to us. There you go. So, you know, Antonio's played around a little bit with it. He's obviously enjoyed making it, and I hope you guys are going to enjoy using it. And you know, we'll see where Hendrik takes his, and then we'll update you guys on that one. And you know, then it's up to you guys which one you want to use and how you want to use it. And all that remains now is literally just to say thank you to everybody. Thank you to every one of you guys as users for all your support, for all the voting on the forums, and for Facebook likes, and for all the comments and everything that you guys added. Guys, it was an awesome response. Thank you so much for giving back to us. You know, we're so used to giving from our side. It was absolutely marvelous to see what you guys gave back to us and the support that we had from you guys. Thank you to Zibo again for the code. Thank you to the Simbrief guys, Derek and Malte. Guys, thank you for bringing this together for us. It's a dream come true for many of us. And I hope that the community at large is going to enjoy this new feature. Have fun, and we'll speak to you guys soon again. Bye-bye.